Serious, male sex workers of Reddit. How do your clients look like, and what is your most and least common request? Male escort here. Most common request is definitely going down on older women, but never attractive ones. 90% are larger than life. Least common request. I was once asked to peel a banana, then seductively, yet carefully, scrape off the rough outer layer with my teeth, to reveal the more slimy banana flesh within. This was a little strange, but I was totally fine with it. I mean, easy money, right? She then wanted me to insert it, BIV. Needless to say, it broke pretty soon. No doubt she planned this, and the rest of the evening was spent eating banana out of her. I'm sure there's still some up there to this day. I was more of like a straight up hooker for a few months a couple years back. All my clients were guys, very diverse. Some were old fat rude men, some middle-aged married guys, black, white, Indian, even some younger guys that I thought were very attractive. Most common was them blowing me, which I didn't expect. Least common was this regular I had kept asking me to not shower cause he wanted me to be ripe. I wasn't a full-time hooker, but I escorted exclusively for just one man. I was a uni student. He was married with kids. He was actually a very attractive man. He would come over and suck me off. That's it. Our sessions never lasted more than 10 minutes and I never sucked him. Started off as £80/BJ, eventually went up £160/BJ. Sometimes higher if he was feeling friskier. It lasted for 3 years and I easily made at least £600 every month. Paid off all my student loans, and I'm now debt free. Shout out to r/personal finance. My clients were generally middle-aged or older men, rarely attractive. Usually just guys who were unable to get sex normally, a few who were in the closet and or married. Most common request was bareback, though I always said the price was triple for that and no one took me up on it. Edit. Wow, my highest upvoted comment is about me getting ucked by old men for cash. Wouldn't have it any other way. Also, bareback means sex without a condom. I thought straight people use that word to lol. Throwaway here. In the 90s I was living in Toronto and met an older woman at a neighborhood bar on a quiet afternoon. She was attractive and fairly drunk, and I took her back to my place. It was a thing on my bucket list. She was 47 and I was 23. We had amazing sex. She was very confident and direct with how she liked things, and I was happy to oblige. We met many more times at hotels, bars, and restaurants where she always picked up the tab. Each time we ended up in bed. She was divorced, financially well off, kids were off on their own. Once we went to Mexico for 2 weeks at a snazzy 5-star joint. Our social lives never intertwined. About 6 months in, she asked me if she could loan me out to a couple of her girlfriends. Of course I jumped at the chance. I went out with 3 of her friends a couple times each, and it was always the same. Dinner, drinks, then sex. Occasional just showed up at a hotel for sex for a few hours or overnight. 2 of them were, unhappily, married and the third was divorced. They always paid the expenses, but no cash directly to me. They bought me clothes and gifts occasionally. All of those women just wanted the companionship and sex they weren't getting at that point in their life. A good long, sustained pounding, and the original woman was a master at oral, like I've not experienced since. Eventually I moved from 2, but that was a pretty sweet run I had. I used to work as a male model at nightclubs in Shanghai, China. From there I was introduced to a bunch of people who offered me jobs at other places, and to make a long story short, I ended up working basically as a straight up escort. The clients were usually wealthy high-end women over 35 years of age. Oldest client I took on must have been around 55. The most common requests would either be 1. Dinner at a fancy restaurant, followed by drinks in some VIP lounge, followed by spending the night at a hotel room. 2. Being her date at an event, her showing you off to her friends, basically acting as her boyfriend for the night, then spend the night at a hotel room. 3. Go directly to her hotel room, have sex, then leave. I didn't have many weird requests, no pervy stuff. Although the most memorable one I can think of was when I was asked to have sex with a 30-something woman in front of her much older husband. She kept yelling things at him in Chinese while we were having sex, as he was sitting on a chair in the corner of the room, wearing nothing but underwear, a shirt and a suit jacket. He also looked super pissed every time she yelled something at him. Worked through Craigslist for a little while, fell off the wagon once I ended up meeting with someone I knew from high school. Mostly it was older/larger women, most of them wanted to be eaten out. But there was one girl, oh my god. We were the same age, she was covered in tattoos, my favorite of which being a chest piece featuring the time turner from Harry Potter, pierced nipples and clit, the works. We met up at a motel near where she lives, and went at it. After a while, I lit up a cigarette as she laid in bed, and she got up suddenly, and began to vomit in the bathroom. After about a half hour she comes out, and apologizes and proceeds to pull a huge bag of prescription pill bottles out of her purse. After she sees my surprise she tells me she has cancer, and is trying to have a little fun, since her boyfriend did nothing but work to pay her bills, but would always be too tired to touch her. There were a lot of times I found out I was a guy on the side, but that charge made me particularly sad. When I was 19 years old I traveled to New York City for a week, and visited Shake Shack a few hours after arriving. I called my mom, while I was in line, and I told her I arrived, yada yada. A man behind me overheard my conversation, and asked me if I had any friends or family in town. We sat down together, and he bought me a beer. He told me that I was handsome, and he wanted to help me out by having me stay at his place. I would have said no, but he said he was a doctor, and showed me his credentials. He told me he wanted me to walk around his apartment naked and just spend time with him, while he wasn't working. He paid me $500 a night. When we went to the underground garage a lot of cars had MD on the plates and I even saw a few US representative plates. I haven't been to New York City since, but he said I've always got a place to stay. Did not have sex, and would definitely do again. Throw away for privacy reasons. I was a male sex worker in a large southern city. Most of my clients were men. Most common is just straight ucking. I lay there, they move me where they want me, and go to town. My least common was an older man who was a pastor of some kind. I would come to the church late twice a week at night and blow him. He would say the strangest things. One time he was finishing in my mouth, and said prepare to receive God's seed. Some other times he'd say don't worry baby, you're about to get all the protein you'll ever need. He paid, so I didn't care. Then it came to the point where I'd dress up like a congregation member of his church, Pentecostal, so it was long hair, Jane skirt, etc. When I was a bartender my GF broke up with me. I spent the next 6 months in the gym. At the peak of my fitness a lot of guys were asking me if I was an MMA fighter. Guess I had that look, and I was getting propositioned by women left and right. My bar catered to an older crowd. A lot of traveling salesmen and women. One night after I had been propositioned 2 to 3 times I started to wonder if I could capitalize off of this. So the next time it happened I half jokingly, half not jokingly asked if she would pay for it. She didn't know what to make of it at first. Seemed a little offended, but wasn't sure if I was kidding. I played it off as if I was kidding, and continued to flirt. As she was getting ready to pay her tab she tells me that she would absolutely pay for it, tips me $150 on a $40 tab, and gives me her hotel room key card and room number. For the next year and a half, this is how it went. Almost every time I asked if they would pay the answer was yes. The women were between moderately attractive and very attractive, mostly in their mid to late 40s. I had a few that were younger and a couple that were as old as 60. I was getting repeat customers. Hell, I had regulars. Most of the women I would have slept with for free. There were times that I left one hotel room and went to another. I can't say there was anything too crazy. Mostly me going to rooms and smashing. Occasionally I would get a request to wear something weird or get spanked, and I would oblige. I ended up stopping because the hotels started catching on to me. I was worried I was going to get reported. Now I'm married and out of shape and I never get propositioned. Did escorting for a few months after college. Recently stopped after I got a call from a DC number wanting to book me for 5 consecutive overnight stays in another town offering $800 per night. They didn't say any details, just wanted to book real quick, and basically the whole thing felt like a sting operation. I said I just give massages and don't duck. or have any kind of sex, and they never got back with me after that. Overall though, it's good money if you're smart about it and have boundaries and don't let anyone convince you to cross them. Saying no is hard, BC the money is so good, typically 200/hours, but there really is a lot of guys looking for younger dudes to suck their dick, or get ucked, or do fetish shit. It's pretty surprising actually.